Hi, welcome back to Far From Eden. One of the things that drives me crazy and motivated me to start this channel is all the bias against men, all the misandry, all of that, and women complaining in their relationships and the men are being way more verbally abused than the women who claim to be. So I like to put out there, I like to call out what's really going on. And so what I want to do is say the 5 things that I love most about men. I was thinking about this actually the other day on November 19th, International Men's Day. And I was like, my last International Men's Day video that did really well has like 3,000 views, which for me, especially back then, was such a huge deal. But that was probably like my 3rd video I ever made. And I just talked about thank you for building society that, the society that I live in. Thank you for all of that. And very sorry that you're not appreciated. And, I'm like, I wish I could just keep releasing that video every day so that men could, be told thank you and I'm sorry. But so International Men's Day inspired me to be thinking about men, the nature of men. We often I talk about female nature and the negative aspects of female nature. There are positive aspects of female nature, but right now in the current landscape, it doesn't really behoove us to discuss that because I feel like we're in crisis mode and we need to call out what's wrong and so that we can maybe start to fix it. But anyway, so 5 things I love most about men. Number 5, I love how funny you guys are. It seems to be just an innate quality. For example, if you pay attention to men in their natural habitat, when they're not being nagged or bugged, whatever, they're so good at doing impersonations, and they tend to be witty. Think about dad jokes. Why are dad jokes a thing? Because men are funny. They bring humor. And I think when women are funny, if you have a female comedian, she's just doing a mediocre version of what the men do. Honestly, I can't watch female comedians, but men are you guys are funny each in your own little ways. And I appreciate it. I really do. I enjoy that about you guys. Number 4, I really admire your stoicism, your ability to not just react, not just emotions immediately. I love that. I aspire for that. Goodness gracious. But for men, it comes way more naturally. And, of course you get, that's toxic masculinity. Be more in touch with your feelings. No, please don't. We women, we've got that. We are on it. We have all the feelings and we need to tone it down. And I really appreciate the stoicism you guys have. It's admirable. It's not something to insult or want to change. Unless, of course, you're trying to manipulate. I don't know anyone who does that. I'm just making sure I didn't miss something in my notes. Yeah, you guys are with the stoicism, it's let me take in the facts and let me process that rather than how I feel about the facts. Because sometimes with us, how we feel about the facts affects what the facts actually are. And that's not real. So I like what you guys do and how you guys handle that. This one is sort of similar, but I think it needs its own category with you all, and it's about your logical, analytical minds. It is no secret, and anybody who tells you differently is either lying or completely delusional. Men are better at math. Why? Why are men better at math? Men tend to be better drivers. Why? Spatially, analytically, their brains work differently. I mean, have you ever happens to me all the time, like I'll be like, oh, what is that? What is that? And the guy will be like, boop, 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 math in his head. And I'm like, how? Their brains are they just work that way. And you know what? Honestly, when I'm around that, I feel safe because I know my mind doesn't work like that. I'm not stupid. I did calculus in high school. Like, I was in the honors classes, etc. I'm not an idiot, but I also saw the men in those classes, and I know why the men build the airplanes and the skyscrapers and all the rest of it. And that they can do all that, then daily life and things like that, their problem-solving skills, the Stoicism keeps the emotions away. The logical and analytical brain does that cost-benefit ratio immediately. It filters into this cost-benefit ratio objective analysis. And I know men are watching this like, well, yeah, well, what else would you do? Have you seen us? Have you seen what we do? When we're freaking out, it's because we're not doing that. So, this doesn't work well. Number 2, the women will hate me even more for this. I don't care. They'll hate me so much that they'll make fun of my hair and they'll make fun of my appearance because they can't argue with me. Well, they can. They'll lose. Anyways, number 2, I love your innate goodness. Now, are there bad men? Sure there are. Of course there are. But men have God's laws written on their heart. God said, you are made in his image. Now, I don't know, but he didn't say that about us. I'm not saying we're not valuable. God loves us. We are equally valued in the eyes of the Lord, but it doesn't say we are made in his image. And have you ever noticed, well, you men do, I don't know who I'm talking to, but men have an idea of justice, real justice, not vengeance, not revenge, actual justice. It's like it's written in them. And who runs into the burning buildings to save someone? Who stops when there's a car accident and someone's trapped inside the vehicle and emergency responders haven't gotten there yet? Who does that? Who saves the kitten who's being washed down the flooded, creek or whatever? Who steps into that dangerous water to save that kitten? Who does that? Men do. Men do that. That's who they are. It's just an instinct. That's the goodness that's in them. It's a sacrificial, I'm going to go and do this. There's honor and principles. They innately understand principles. What that means is those principles don't change depending on how they feel. See my video about how women don't have principles inherently. So we have to learn them. You guys are like, I get it. Now, yes, there are bad men. Yes, there are men who hurt that kitten or set that fire. But the key is that it's the men are the heroes. That's who the heroes are. That's why the Marvel movies aren't doing well, because nobody buys it. Nobody buys it. Plus, those Marvel movies are like honest. Those female heroines or whatever are like, they're totally in it for themselves. And it's about vengeance. It's not about justice. Superman is a man. Wouldn't work. Anyway, I digress. The last one kind of is connected to the goodness part, but it needs its own one. And so number one is y'all's ability to love. The depth of your love, the sacrifice of your love, the loyalty and endurance of your love. Does that mean men never cheat? No, they do. Sometimes they do. I'm not justifying that. I'm not saying it's okay. But what I'm saying is that men don't leave their families. They don't abandon their children or take their children's other parent away, unless that needs to be done. But that's rare. They don't do that. They love sacrificially. They are the ones that, well, for example, just recently, a man in California got home. Guys were at his home ready to do a home invasion, and they had a gun to his chest. He had a gun nearby. He was not going to let those people get past him to his woman and his child who were in the house. So he got his gun and he fought them off. Of course, they want to take his Second Amendment rights away. That's a whole different subject. But the thing is that he didn't say, oh my God, don't kill me. Sure, just come in and take whatever you want. No, he didn't. No, he was ready to lay down his life for the possibility of what would happen to his child and his woman. And he was successful. Men love sacrificially like that. It's not women's instinct to do that. And it's not women's instinct to love and love forever. All you have to do is listen to songs and poems and stories about men's love. And it's beautiful. And it mirrors God's love. Even if you don't believe in God, doesn't matter. You're still loving the way He does. You're not there looking for problems or looking for excuses or whatever. You are dedicating all of yourself to your family every day. You didn't get a career because you wanted to be a career person and you're going to be so important. You got a career to pay for your family, to take care of your family. And I understand there's some Gen Z people that are kind of be like, what are you even talking about? Because all of this is so foreign. But that's what the male of our species does. The idea is he goes out to get resources to pay for his offspring and the mother of his offspring so they can be safe and provided for and carry on the legacy. So even if you don't believe in God or what have you, you can say, well, we're mammals, how do we behave? And men just love. He doesn't want to leave his family or abandon his children. And that's why you don't have 80% divorces being filed by men. You just don't, because they don't do that. But anyway, it's hard to, let me make sure I didn't leave anything out. Yeah, you guys, with your love, one of the ways you love is you lead. And women get all bent out of shape about this. It's like, it's not easy to be the leader, okay? Why do we want these roles? It's not easy. It's not like you're getting all these accolades, and God knows they don't get the appreciation, but they take on the role. And when you lead like that, it means you got to take the consequences for whatever the decision is, and you just go forward. Women don't even want to take the consequences for choosing the wrong restaurant to go eat at. So we can't pick that. But the man's like, okay, this is what we need to do, and I know more and more that's disappearing, and that's why there's so much debt, and people are upside down on their houses, and anyway, you guys, you really are owed more appreciation and respect than you get out here in the world. Yes, there are bad men, of course there are, but the thing is that we don't talk about how good men are. We just don't. We don't talk about how good they are. Too busy talking about how strong and independent women are. Like, dumb. But just thought you should know. Take care.